to the Planting Wildflowers podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Leonardis. I'm an entrepreneur, wife, mom, and stepmom. I'm super interested in people and perspectives, and I love how a good conversation can leave you feeling empowered. Sometimes even pique your curiosity to learn and grow. Mostly though, I love how really listening to one another opens up limitless opportunities for that beautiful sense of connection and community that we all love. Thanks for tuning in. Let's be inspired. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Planting Wildflowers podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Leonardis, and this episode is different from the previous episodes that you've listened to, and I appreciate you being here with me to discover something brand new. We're doing this together. You see, this podcast was created to bring together people that I already know. And I believe every episode has been beautiful in the sense that it has offered us just so many wonderful voices in the world, people who are doing good things and people who are inspiring and leave you curious about how you can take your life to the next level. On today's episode, I want to speak specifically to the idea of connection. See, connection is my number one strength. And in a world where we are limited in terms of who we can connect with on a personal level, meaning who we can spend time with in the same personal space, that has been restricted. And that is very difficult for people like myself who really thrive off of spending time with people in the physical sense. However, the silver lining in all of this is that there are ways that we can connect with people. And the beauty of this new way of connecting is that you discover brand new people who you might meet on various platforms. And I could list a number of platforms that you can connect with people who were formerly strangers and evolve into friends. Today, we're going to share some perspective on what that kind of connection and creating and cultivating friendship can really be. I am thrilled to have a guest today who reached out on a platform that we are both connected to. We share similar interests, and he commented specifically on perspectives being something that he really appreciated and something that he valued in this world. Those of you who have been listening to the Planting Wildflowers podcast, you know this. I believe that perspective is everything. You can look at the world situation right now and feel a lot of negative emotions, or you can look at the world situation right now and say, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I am not going to be limited in my ability to connect. Friends, I'm bringing together the world of digital. I'm bringing together this world of hope. And I'm bringing to you today a guest from the other side of the world. He's joining us today from India. He is my new friend. We are learning and discovering one another today before your eyes, or before your ears, I should say. No one's watching, but I know you're listening. His name is Kapil Moon, and his heart is something you can feel immediately. You all know I love words. And when you choose the right words to communicate with people, you can really create something magical and create curiosity. And that's what he did for me. I thought to myself, this is someone I need to know. Let me tell you, before I turn this over to Kapil, I want to share a little bit about him with you. First of all, I mentioned before that he is coming to us live from India today, and I really appreciate that. We are so grateful, aren't we, Kapil, for technology? This is such a beautiful way to be able to make new friendships. Kapil is a product designer in India. He is interested in arts, mathematics, and writing ever since he was a young boy. He joined engineering and ended up dropping out of that to pursue his passion for designing. He then, and I love that about you because I know that that means you like to follow your intuition. He wrote his first book in 2020. It's called Speaking Lines, and I'll make sure that gets in the show notes. It's a collection of poetry on love, beauty, and separation. He is expert in life and relationships. He believes deeply in perspective. Kapil, I'm so excited we have this chance to meet and connect with one another from the other side of the world. Welcome to the Planting Wildflowers podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to having here, and it's really good to see people connecting with the same perspective. And thanks a lot. Before introducing myself, I would like to really thank you and the platform we are using. And it's so my name is Kapil Moon. I started as an artist when I was a child, and then I moved to like maths and science. Like that created me interest in engineering, and then I tried for engineering, but somehow I thought that it's the design was just something that I'm more appealed to. So I then just dropped out from the engineering and started for pursuing the design. And I'm a totally self-taught designer now. I didn't learn anything like in any institute or anything. So I'm now 5+ experience in design field. And yeah, so that's how was my academic journey. And regarding this about the life we see, the observation and everything, this like books have helped me a lot, this internet and everything, like everything gets connected when you try to do something. So and you learn a lot in that journey.
You do. Tell me a little bit about yourself outside of your academic journey. What is your family life like? What is it like living in India right now? I'm in Canada, you're in India. We're both probably experiencing some things that are similar. We were just talking before we went live about we're both in a lockdown situation right now. So tell me a little bit more. What's family life and life living in India all about?
Yeah, India is obviously the colorful country, and we have lots of festivals and everything. So that's why it's very difficult for India to face this lockdown and stay at our homes, because like Indian people are they gather each in celebrate and together. So it's quite difficult in for lockdown now, but like it's had been like around 1 year of lockdown, so people are getting habitual for that. And currently the situation are quite terrible, like the count is increasing day by day. So yeah, people are also stubborn in India. They don't listen to government. They go on back and they party and they watch movies together. So the curve
can I interrupt you right there? How do you feel about that? So you've been in lockdown. You're part of a culture that is very accustomed to celebrating. I know I have friends that live not too close to you, but in the same country. And I have learned there are so many rituals and celebrations and many, many opportunities to get together with friends and family. And family is extended family, large groups. So when you hear that the numbers, and you're speaking specifically to COVID numbers, I imagine, how does that make you feel when you find out that people are still going out and partying, and maybe you're observing the lockdown rules? Do you have feelings about that?
Yeah, like it's really bad. Like people don't listen, but as we can see, like the media is spreading the news, so people get aware about that we should not do like that. So people are getting habitual slowly but slowly, but not totally. Some of them still go out and play cricket and everything. So
I think that's probably due to the fact that they crave connection. I think as humans, we will find a way, we will find a loophole, we just need to be together,
Yeah.
and that's probably what you're seeing examples of
Mhm.
for sure. What about your family? Have you been able to connect with your own family?
No, like we just call on Zoom and Skype because we haven't met since like an year ago. So it's difficult, but like everyone understand that it's necessary that we should stay apart and
Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's difficult. I know there's a lot of fear about what this could look like. And it's not just fear about the
Mhm.
virus, it's fear about being isolated. I
Isolated.
fear that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
isolation is the greatest to me. I don't.
Because as a humans, we are social animals, so we cannot like stay too long for isolation. So
Exactly.
that's why we have cravings to meet people and share our feelings and thoughts.
It's so true. So, okay, you just led me into what I really want to know about you is you are you are an expert in relationships and you love sharing your heart about life in general. You wrote a book.
Yeah.
So, tell me more about that and tell me what makes you expert in these areas. I want to know it.
Okay. So it's like so when I started writing the book, I started with the observation, like the observation I'm having since my childhood. Like because the ways are different, like what we learn and what we see are different. Yeah. So and even the perspective about love is totally different from real than in the movies. So because in love there is so much of ups and downs and everything, but in movies it's good forever. But it's not like that. The story start the story starts at that time. So that's a different thing. So the first thing was observation, like how we observe everything, and like kindness and humanity, how it is getting destructed, and how we are falling for egos and everything. And then another thing is like how we are treating our relationships, like we're using or we are in love, or what is this like and another part is like separation is in society, like we are considering separation as a bad, but it's not actually bad. It's a maturity. It's in separation, the way you behave, it describes how mature you are, like how maturely you handle the situation. And it's not something that when you separate and you cry and you waste your life and you get depressed and anxiety. So that's not we must like change our perspective, like how we see the things and everything. So in that book I have written the most observation things. Like first the first phase is like the observation, and the next are some points about love and the poetry and quotes about, and then separation at the end, to to like tell that separation is not at all bad. It's just a phase, and it's like being connected but not attached.
A codependency, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not a healthy thing. Kapil, can I ask you, have you been in love?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was in love and I had breakup like last year.
Mhm.
So I have a lot of many things. Like it was 11 years of relationship. So
Wow.
yeah. So like it started when I was in seventh grade. And then we grew up together and had some a beautiful time. But eventually like there are some problems, and then we got separated. But that's okay. That's like these are something hurdles of life, and we need to cross it and stand again.
I
So
love that. I know right now we're in lockdown, so you don't get to see one another, but if we were not in lockdown, would the two of you see each other in different places? Now that
yeah.
you have separated,
Mhm.
okay, and is that an awkward feeling, or are you both okay with not being coupled anymore?
Yeah, we are okay now.
You
Like
are.
with the time we get okay.
Okay, I love that you can write about it because I know many people who have these experiences and they don't really do anything with them.
Mhm.
I mean, they hold them close to their heart. I shouldn't say they don't do anything with them, but you are very generous, obviously, very generous in sharing your stories, because there is something to be learned from everyone's story. And
Yeah.
no two people are ever going to experience things the same way. But sometimes when you hear another person's story of love in particular, because that is one of the most, well, is the most beautiful emotion. And then when it breaks, there's a learning opportunity within that experience. And I think it's so generous of you to share that with the world so other people can heal the way you've healed through your process of writing. That's a wonderful thing. Really good thing. Do you hope to release any new material? Are you working on another book?
Yeah, actually, I'm working on a self-help book.
Did you
So
say
it's
self-help?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So its name is A Million Smiles Away. So it's actually how we need to. So it's actually a book about how we need to drop, a little by little a thing to, get freedom and that independence about your spirituality, like how you stand alone, but in a very loving face. So I'm now working on that.
Okay, hold that. You just touched my heart with that. Stand alone in an isolate, like you're independent, but recognizing, are you suggesting that you're going to be writing about the spiritual aspect of oneness?
Yes.
Tell me more about this. This is my love language. Talk to me.
So it's like see, like there are some points and some, you can say, rules or some laws about nature you need to learn. And once you learn those, you understand a subtleness, just a subtleness of how things work and how they should be. But when you are in relationship, it's like loving to someone is like loving to a flower.
Mhm.
You can never be in the life of flower, and flower can never be in the life of you. All you can do is you can care, and you can treat them with love, and you can set them to freedom to do what they want, because their happiness is eventually your goal if you love them.
Oh my word. I have chills. That is so wonderful. Okay, you just mentioned laws or rules of nature. And I know when you say nature, you're speaking about all things.
Yeah.
Are you speaking from an Ayurvedic perspective? Are you talking about um, Kapha, Vata, Pitta,
See,
that concept?
so yeah, so some laws that are in almost everything, like in Ayurveda, Veds, and we whatever we see in godliness, they have these things in common. So like the yoga is actually, it's on conscious level. It's a connection between the mind and the body.
Mhm.
So the man who invented yoga, Patanjali, actually he was in the meditation phase, and there were some things happening to his mind, like it's like journey to enlightenment, and there was something happening to in his mind, and that changed his body posture, which we call as asanas.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and the asanas are not separated, like, so they are in continuous flow. So they are actually not at all in separate. So it starts from Padmasana and it ends in Shavasana, like that. So they are in flow. So it's like our mind and bodies are connected. Like if you simply see, if you are sad, then you feel more conservative, and you keep your hands locked and like that. And when you are happy, you stand open and you laugh. So your mental emotionals are always connected to your body. So this is the connection, and this connection is called as yoga. So the same thing, this connection like works inverted also. Like when you do asanas, you feel relaxed. So this works as it is. Like if you go from this or this, it works the same. So like that. For Patanjali, it was like from mind mind journey to the body, and for us, if we try, it will go from body to mind. So
You know what I love about what you've just said? First of all, I have the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. I have that book right behind me. I will put actually I will put that in the show notes because many people I'm sure will be curious about what it is you're speaking to. So I'll make sure that we add that to today's show notes. But what I love most about what you just said is that everything begins in the mind, and
yeah,
that so loving thoughts, negative thoughts, sadness, anger, all of those, depression, anxiety, they all start in the mind, but can be impacted with what we do with our bodies. So the asanas, and if you don't understand asana, think postures, just replace the word asana with postures and add breath work into that. And by doing so, and as Kapil has suggested, if you move through those postures with continuous flow and breath, you will alleviate or sculpt or change the feelings of the mind. You have control.
yeah,
I love this so much, Kapil, because I don't think enough people understand that they
yeah.
are in control of themselves. We are not taught, at least here in North America, we are not taught yoga from an early age. We are not taught meditation. We are not taught breath work from an early age. So we as a culture here in North America, and I'm speaking very generally, are a very stressed out culture. We don't have the tools to move through some of these emotions that you're describing. Who taught you this? Did you grow up in this environment? I know it's part of your culture, but in your own family, was this taught and practiced?
Yeah, my dad used to do yoga. So from childhood, I was doing yoga, and then my school also had yoga and meditation classes. So
Can you say that those contributed to your ability to discover this sense of oneness?
yeah, exactly. So
Oh, wow, that really reaches me because we need this type of training or education here from an early age. This is something I've admired about the Indian culture for forever, is that before you learn anything else, you learn how to be you.
yeah.
Wow. How have you put these practices to use in your own life? Can you give any specific examples of where you've needed to use it to move from one moment to the next moment of life?
So yeah, like since I was practicing yoga from childhood, but like practicing from childhood, the yoga and meditation, we don't understand at that time. Like
Mhm.
when we were a child, and like, what is this? Like, so we then slowly just start to neglect that. But just when we come to the real world and we face things and we see how our emotions get touched and how they work, then we understand that no, that was very important. That yoga and meditations are very, very important. So in my life, like, I was the national player in yoga. So yeah, so I was practicing yoga like daily. So I today also I do yoga. So that has been very a big part of my life, yoga. And then I started reading books about on yogas and how the mind and bodies are connected. And then it helped me to open more doors in the knowledge of yoga.
Knowledge of yoga. Oh, this is wonderful. I feel like I've met someone who um, already knows what I'm in the process of learning. This is something that's become very important to me. I'm trained in Ayurveda now, and my next move was I'm currently a yoga student. I will
Uh,
become a meditation student this summer, and that's what I mean by being in the process of truly learning it. I want to immerse myself in
mhm.
the science of it. I don't want to just practice. I want someone to teach me the actual, the right way to do things. I know there's not a wrong way to meditate, but I want to learn from the people who, from the seers. I want this to be information that has been passed down for thousands of years. That's what I want to integrate into my own soul. The fact that you've been practicing this since you've been a young boy is fascinating to me. Tell me this, Kapil, you have beautiful life experiences. You are very open to sharing your heart. And I wonder, I know that that comes from this sense of oneness that you've been able to tap into and connect with. I also know that sometimes in communities, sometimes even within families, certainly within cultures, that is not necessarily something that is supported. You being open with your heart is something that you have to trust is the right thing. What is
Exactly.
it like in your family, in your community, in your culture? Are you supported in your endeavor to share so openly and be so vulnerable?
Yeah, in our community, we actually don't share this much. But as you see, my perspective is quite different. Like, I think today is the last day.
Today is the last day. That's how you feel. You treat it like it's
Yeah.
your final day.
Yeah. So whatever I have, whatever good things I have, I must share.
Oh, I could
So
almost
like,
cry that you're with
yeah,
me.
like you are talking to me now. This is the only moment. Like it will be gone now. And tomorrow maybe we will be there or not, but this moment we have lived.
Literally bringing me to tears. Wow, that's beautiful. If if we only all looked at the world like that.
Hmm. And
Wow.
so this is actually it's a part of my perspective. Like I think like we are going to die tomorrow, and this is the today only we have. So so it's quite like funny. Like when I talk to some people, I tell them like, imagine you are dying today, and they first get scared, but then they realize first we get scared, and then we get angry that we cannot extend this timeline. Like today we are dying, but suddenly we fall into a kindness. Like we don't care about the things that will happen in future. We will start loving what we have now. We will start loving our relationships, because like the time has put it so much value now to these relationships what we have. Like we will not speak lie today, because there is no point, we are going to die tomorrow. So that is like, we will not be angry on anyone. We will be in the total state of kindness, that this is the only day, and you will be just thankful for this day. And it is true. It is true. We cannot predict the future, what will happen the next moment. So if even we are aware of these things, we will be always in the state of kindness.
A total state of kindness.
Mm.
Wow. This is a beautiful perspective. This is really what living a quality life, a quality existence is all about. There is no room for anger, shame, judgment, of which
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of that lately with the pandemic.
Mm.
It's created so many divided people. And I
Yeah.
know it's because everyone believes that their perspective is the right perspective. But when
Mhm.
we scrape all of that away and really look at what's important, what reveals itself is what you've said. The only thing that matters is this moment. When it's
Yeah.
gone, it's gone. You can only really live in the present. And fear comes from two places. Fear is mostly projected into the future. What will happen? What will become of this? Fear is also inspired by what has happened in the past. It feels like you are too rooted and you're too attached to what used to happen and the way things used to be,
Mhm.
when really neither of them matter because neither of them exist anymore.
Yeah.
Ooh, my goodness. Can I just remind the listeners, we just met a few minutes ago. We met a few minutes ago, and this is, I'm pausing here to remind you that beautiful connections and opportunities for them exist. If you are willing to look in places that you have never looked before, you will find friendship, you will find connection, you will find this state of total kindness that
Yeah.
Kapil is talking about. You're the first guest that's made me cry. Only because I'm not sad. I was so touched. That was such a joyful, beautiful, raw moment. And the words that you are sharing with us are just, they are your truth, because you have found your sense of oneness. And I love that. Wow. Tell me what I mean, I know we just talked about living in the present. And now I'm going to ask you, what do you see for us as a worldwide community going forward? What would be your wish or your hope for us as a human race? Where do we go from here?
Okay. So, so currently we need to understand that just our countries are different. We are not different. Just the borders has put that limitation, but our thoughts and our connection hasn't. Like with use of social media and everything, like today we got connected.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is very important. This is very, very important. Like we must feel that we all are same. Number one thing, because this will open the doors to, connect with everyone. So because like in today's culture, what is happening, like we never go out of some country, and but the politician and the news and the media, they create some image of that country. And so when we firmly believe on that, then we create some judgment about that country.
Mhm.
Like if you are living in A country and I'm from B country, and your media is continuously telling you that B country is harmful to you, then you will suddenly think that this country is our enemy.
Yes.
And if any person meet you from that country, you will not be that much kind, because it has been implanted to your brain that these are not good people. So first thing we need to drop is that this identification of these countries, like we are not Indian or American or Canadian, we are first human.
Mm.
So this identification is also like, it's a very good word. Like suppose like I am a product designer in Maharashtra in India. So when I say I am product designer, when I speak I am product designer, all the product designers are with me. Okay. So whatever happens to me, if there is some problem, then all the product designers will commute together for me. If I say I'm Indian, all Indians will stand up for me.
Mm.
You're getting?
Mhm. I do.
Yeah. So if I say I'm Indian, then every Indian will, care for me, and we will be in commune. But if I say human, then the world is connected,
Oh,
because everyone is human.
it's just an identification of
Yeah, exactly.
yes. And that
We
was
need,
just the words you used.
yeah. So when we drop identification, we become the singularity, that is our human being. And then we will start to connect with each other. But to connect with each other, we need to drop this, our identity, that like we're Indian or this or that, and our races and religion. We need to drop those. And so once we will connect, as you asked me, the perspective of this human race, that once we start to connect, like when we become one, there will be so much of peace. Like we it's like from evolving from apes to mankind, and now it's going to digital era. like, but we are now destroying the earth, and then there is no point. So we need to reduce those, and we need to fill the earth more with love and kindness, because, and more with the heart. Like, we have used our brains so much. We have created nuclear bombs and everything like that, but it has not, concluded anything. So I think there will be less for, like, if we start to connect. But the median people, like those people who stand in between our country, we need to first get rid of them.
Oh, yes, sir. But there's an example of where we have a choice, right? We have to use our sense of power and make sure the people representing us are
Yeah.
representing what's in our hearts.
Mhm.
I love what you said about we think we're living our lives from our minds and not from our hearts.
Mhm.
You mentioned, we have the ability, we're brilliant as a species. We can create all kinds of nuclear weapons, but I bet you if you went outside today and asked a whole bunch of people if they knew how to plant their own garden, they wouldn't know how. They wouldn't know how to nurture new beginnings.
Yeah.
And yet we have all of these things that we don't actually need,
Hmm.
weaponry and of the like. But I love that reminder. I think it's something that we all know in our soul, is that we need to think with our hearts first. But all of our experiences have made us, it's almost like our brain is a filter. And whatever we feel reaches our brain, and we try to figure out, will this be acceptable? Will people still like me? What will be the outcome for me? And
Mhm.
we allow our ego to make a decision
Yeah.
to veto what the heart has to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to nurture, and that starts with that sense of oneness that you described, really getting connected to ourselves and hearing ourselves maybe for the first time. I know there are a lot of people who have never sat in silence, who have never slowed down long enough to feel whatever it is. And that's because they have hard work to do. There's probably pain and suffering and healing that needs to happen. And that's discomfort, like that is obviously not a comfortable place to be, but it's the work that needs to be done right now. When you heal
Yeah.
yourself, you heal your family, you heal your community, and it just ripples out into the world. You heal humanity.
Exactly.
Ooh, who are your mentors? Who do you look up to? Who supports you in this life?
Yeah, like mentors, like I have so many, authors, like I read books about, like Jordan Peterson, Osho, Paulo Coelho, and there are various Irnia also. These are some, they had written very good books, and I like them.
So you like Paulo Coelho? Is it The Alchemist that you
Yeah.
like? Yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
book.
exactly. I
Uh,
I actually read that Alchemist when I was in ninth grade.
Ninth grade.
Yeah. And so I really like that book so much. Like, it really motivates you, to follow your dream and to seek what your heart is saying to you.
And that you can create anything.
Yeah.
Oh, I might be motivated to read that again this weekend. I love that book.
Yeah.
And Jordan Peterson. Okay, those are great, great guides. Where can we stay connected with you? Where can listeners follow you or find out about your writing? Can you share that with us?
So it's on my website, kapilmoon.com.
Okay.
And another, I'm on every social media like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
And Twitter, did you say was the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, Twitter. Okay. All right. Good. Listen, I have been so moved by this conversation today. I feel like you and we said this before we got on live.
Mhm.
Meeting someone new, you never know what you're in store for. But there was
Mhm.
something in the words you used that really resonated with me, and I knew that you were someone that I wanted to know more about. And I'm so thankful that I listened to my intuition about that, because
Yeah.
Your soul is pure. Your intentions are beautiful. And I feel like anyone who has the honor of being in your circle, in your community, will benefit from your teachings. And I know that you are a teacher because you are, you're spending the time on you. So everything that you exude will affect people who come into your circle. I think it's a brilliant offering to humanity.
Thanks.
I'm going to thank you right now. I will end this conversation. And friends, again, the reason we're chatting is for no other reason than to introduce you to someone really special in another part of the world, someone who's doing terrific things, and someone who shares a perspective that might be different from the one that you currently have. You are entitled to think what you're going to think, but these episodes were designed to plant a seed of curiosity in your mind and possibly cultivate just the little bit of belief that it requires to pursue something new and something beautiful in your own life. So I want to thank you, Kapil, for your time today. I want to thank you for sharing your heart. I know sometimes that is not an easy thing to do, especially with someone who we're not strangers anymore. We're friends now, but you
Yeah.
can't be a stranger. And I want to express my gratitude for that. You've really motivated me to continue on the path that I'm on. And I know that you've inspired other people to take a look deep in their own hearts and figure out what it is that they are meant to hear.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Friends, I'm going to end this now. I'm going to thank you, as always, for tuning into the show. This episode comes complete with show notes. So any of the references that Kapil shared with us today, we'll make sure that those are available to you. But check him out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Check him out at kapilmoon.com. Give some of his writing a look over. It's beautiful, and you'll get to spend more time with someone who is really, really sharing his best with the world. Thank you all for listening. In health and happiness, I wish you a really great day, everyone. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode, friends. Thank you for hanging out with us here at the Planting Wildflowers podcast. We'll look forward to seeing you again real soon. And in the meantime, if you would be so kind as to rate, subscribe, and share this podcast with others, I'd be most grateful. We'll catch you again soon. Until then, take good care.